Pharmacy. Restrictions apply. See circular for details.
Colin Cowherd.
I'm a believer when the world gets more crazy. Simplify. That works for me. Simplify. It was always my life, a catch was really easy. And now the NFL uses words like process of the catch, a football move toward the end zone. What? Can we just go back to what's a catch and what's not a catch?
This is The Herd with Colin Cowherd.
2 through 5 on 1420 NBC Sports Radio Tri-City. Follow us on Facebook. Final segment of Tri-City Sports Now. And I will give you, again, there are 2 doubleheaders this week we're going to be seeing in the NFL. And unfortunately, they're still trying to figure out what games we're going to watch here in the Tri-Cities. But I will be able to give you a rudimentary idea. AFC, start there. The early game, you will either see the Jets or the Patriots or the Browns and the Steelers. My guess would be Browns and Steelers. But the number 1 game is scheduled to be Jets and Patriots. At 1 p.m. on TV, there are traditionally, Redskins market used to be back in the day. They're playing at New York. I don't know. I mean, I understand there are Redskins fans out there. I understand maybe, is Eli Manning going to play? The Mannings are popular around here because of Peyton. You don't hate little brother. Come on. But is that really the game you want to see over Chicago and Minnesota? Which does have playoff implications. Or Dallas and Philly, which doesn't, but just as such a rivalry. You'll hear the Dallas-Philly game on 1420 NBC Sports Radio Tri-Cities. Now, Vikes and Bears are a rivalry too. And by the way, Elizabeth the native, okay, he moved away when he was 2, but he is a former Vol. Charles Davis will be broadcasting the game for Fox with the Bears and the Vikings. As play-by-play man, of course, Kevin Burkhardt. It's a good team. The late game looked for Carolina and Atlanta with a lot of playoff implications there. Atlanta, pretty much they got to win or else hope that Seattle loses to make the postseason. Carolina, they still have dreams of winning the division. If they win and the Saints lose to Tampa Bay, I wouldn't bet on that. But you got to suit up. Then the Panthers win the division. They get a home playoff game. Incidentally, have you seen where Ron Rivera is really defending Jerry Richardson? And I thought this was, I thought it was very interesting because I did read the story in Sports Illustrated about Jerry Richardson and the 81-year-old owner, still the owner of the Carolina Panthers, although he is no longer the CEO, who has been alleged to have some sexual harassment. There are allegations that he is asked to shave women's legs, which I find bizarre. There are certain things that, and these are, let's keep in mind all allegations. Comments, they would have in the Carolina Panthers front office, encourage people to wear jeans on Friday, casual Friday, denim Friday. And he would make all kinds of comments about the women, what is that old song? Baby's got her blue jeans on. We'll find that here in a second. But there were those comments. There was actually a weird one that was made where he would offer to give, this is all alleged, keep in mind, a female employee a ride. And it would be, let me put your seatbelt on for you, and then he'd cop a feel. That's what he is alleged to have done. Creepy old man, a little bit. I don't know if it goes to the extent of Harvey Weinstein. It should not cost the Carolina Panthers fans their franchise by any means. Who knows if it will. There's some talk that $100 million of stock that Vince McMahon is selling, could it restart the XFL? Possibly, but there's also some talk that he might be looking to buy in to the Carolina Panthers with it. Interesting. We've heard Eddie DeBartolo, heard P. Diddy, can hardly imagine. I really don't think that P. Diddy, even the way that he presented himself and that is all that serious. But Ron Rivera, though, is defending Jerry Richardson, who is known as Mr. Richardson. Jerry Richardson, by the way, used to play for the Baltimore Colts. He caught a touchdown pass in the 1959 NFL title game. I suppose from Unitas. I don't, you know. But yeah, the Colts beat the Giants for the second year in a row in 59. And anyway, you had this circumstance where in a team meeting, Ron Rivera, head coach of the Panthers, was leading his team into a cheer in which it went 1, 2, 3, Mr. Richardson. It's known as Mr. Richardson. I don't know what Keith Richards thinks of it. I certainly don't know what Keith Jennings thinks of it, which was the reference I was trying to make. And the team responded in unison. Interesting. There are reports that he paid off 4 women to keep quiet due to workplace misconduct. There's some ugly thing, but there are some ugly allegations. But I think the idea here is that Jerry Richardson is the man who brought pro football to Charlotte. Jerry Richardson was once one of the most powerful owners in the NFL. Jerry Richardson, obviously, his players are millionaires because of him. And, you know, as Ron Rivera said, hey, he gave me a job. He's treated me well. I want to stand by him in his time of need. Controversial for sure, but I also think that you're going to see a little more of this from men going forward. Again, what Richardson is accused of doing, to me, is absolutely creepy. It's absolutely, you don't cop a feel of a female employee allegedly of trying to put a seatbelt on. You don't ask to shave a woman's legs. I mean, this is bizarre. There are some other things, you know, and again, is this harassment? Is it not? Evidently, you might go to a female employee, shell out a few, but here's a bonus. You're doing a great job. Go buy yourself a new dress. Is that sexual harassment? Asking to shave someone's legs is extraordinarily creepy. I'll give you that. I wouldn't put up with such a thing. It's improper behavior. Is, hey, you're doing a great job. Go buy yourself something nice. Bottle of perfume. A new dress. Is that sexual harassment? These are the lines that we have to determine, and I think this is one of the reasons why, because that is kind of a hard thing to argue that it is, and I think that's also another reason why men, the Carolina Panthers, would stand up for Jerry Richardson in this situation. Anyway, just a thought. When the Titans play this week, they may be without their top running back. DeMarco Murray, who is really slumped, he is probably going to be replaced by Derrick Henry. But Henry has only started 1 game this year. Still, he's the franchise's leading rusher. Could this be a move made that will actually help the Titans in the playoffs? I don't know. I really think there are only 3 teams out of the AFC. The Patriots, the Jaguars, and yes, still the Steelers. They have the horses, let's face it, that can make it to the Super Bowl. Do you really see a 9-7 Tennessee team even beating Jacksonville in a rematch, let alone going on to the Super Bowl? It's hard to believe, but it was a team picked to win their division. It's been an underachieving team. Could it be a sleeper team? If Henry starts in the backfield, what does that change? I'm interested to see this Sunday. It is something to watch as the NFL, it's just a great time of year what with the NFL games going on, and the playoff scenarios that get printed in the paper, and how the Bills, they have to win, or hope that the Chargers and the Titans lose, or they could tie, and that never happens, by the way. And the Titans and the Jaguars both, tie, or so. No, they lose, but they get in with an 8-7-1 mark. I mean, it's just, but you love it. It's just great. You go looking at the conference record. You try adding up strength of victory, net touchdowns. I mean, it's just, I love doing that. I just, look through the season. Oh yeah, that game. I remember that game that they won. Yeah, did they have 4 opponents against each other? Let's look through the schedules. Okay. I love doing that. Absolutely. It's going to be the Saints with the 3rd seed. It's going to be the Rams. It's going to make a difference. I mean, would you rather play? Let's see here. I'm trying to recall here. It's the Panthers right now with the 5th seed. Say the Saints win. And the Rams do too. Let's just say, would you rather play the Panthers or the Falcons? Would you rather play the Panthers or the Seahawks? I mean, it's just, it's, I love it. I really do. It's one of the best times in sports and all that. Speaking of the Tennessee Titans, though, there is, and we've been a little remiss on this, I did think last week there were a lot of turkeys in the NFL in terms of games, and I mentioned that one of them, one of the better games was actually the Titans lost to the LA Rams, but there was something missing in it, Final drive for Mariota, stalls on a 4th down, 4 and out, midfield, minute and a half left. That's just not as satisfying of an ending as, it's picked off! Or failing at the goal line, a goal line stand, the closing seconds. Certainly, although it was a 4-point game, a missed field goal or a winning touchdown in the latter seconds. I mean, I'm, looking at this. But everybody and their brother now saying that on the surprise onside kick that the Tennessee Titans ran when it was a 2020 game, midway 3rd quarter, they went, give credit to Marky here, a surprise onside kick. I like the onside kick. I think there's a great risk reward to it. I mean, to be honest with you, I think that, the field position that you may or may not get, if you don't give it, you give the ball up at midfield. Okay, your own 45. Still not in field goal range. I'm not saying it's ideal. I'm saying it's worth the risk every now and then. Marky agreed with me. He went for the surprise onside kick. It was recovered cleanly by the Titans, and the Rams weren't ready. A flag was thrown, however, and announced the Rams had called timeout before the kick. What? Why do you call timeout before a kickoff when you're going to receive it with 4.5 minutes left in the 3rd quarter? McVay, Coach McVay of the Rams, Sean McVay, youngest coach in the league, did not call a timeout. Titans were hosts. How would that have influenced the ball game? We won't know. At the next thing that Ryan Suckup, the Titans kicker, went deep, kicked in the end zone, touchback for the Rams. Rams go on and win. Rams are a sleeper team in the NFC, no question about it. But the Titans could have had their playoff chances severely diminished, and maybe even not the opportunity to make it on a made-up call. A made-up call. I thought full-time officials were going to do away with this. I thought that this was no longer going to happen. Evidently not. I would like to see the NFL officials work high school and college games when they're not, when it's not Sunday. See you tomorrow, Tri-City Sports Now.
WBMB Irwin, 1420 NBC Sports Radio Tri.